Hello! Today's stories come from r/entitled people. We've got 3 stories today. In our first story, Karen meets the army in Karen Rages via Baby Monitor at the Army. So, as username implies, I do army stuff, but not smartly. Recently, in the beautiful swamps of Louisiana, we were having an exercise. Fun times were had by all, except for Karen. You see, Karen lived on base, presumably, and like many parents, uses a baby monitor that has two-way talk. Essentially, an overpriced walkie talkie for baby with speech detection. When we do small routine training exercises, we don't bother to encrypt radio traffic. Finicky, temperamental 1892 edition hand me down radios are a pain in the rear. Also, hypothetically, anybody with a radio that can tune to those frequencies can listen in. Not sure why you'd waste your time like that, but you do you. So, the story. On the first day of the exercise at about 2 a.m., I'm sitting in the command tent, listening for anyone who needs anything via radio. Aside from hourly checks that the radios are actually working, we don't have any night missions, so all quiet. Until at 2 sharp. X this is Y. Radio check. Over. Followed by a child's voice going, "Hello?" The frequencies we use are supposedly closed by someone who gets paid more than me, who ensures they aren't being used by local radio or anything similar. In years of doing this job, I've never had an eavesdropper chime in. So, as any rational adult would in the dark of a swampy night in the romantically haunted swamps of the South, I was as calm as was reasonable to be. Holy funky nuts, it's haunted! I kid you not, I soiled myself. My son of Cthulhu equipment is poltergeisted? I'm across the tent. The captain in there with me also heard it, so I'm not going crazy. We're looking at this thing like it just dropped a fat one on the dining table until someone else breaks the silence. X, this is Y. Say again, last over? And the child's voice again, but scared. Mommy? So after the initial spookies wear off, it kind of clicks for us. Unencrypted traffic, probably some interference, not a big deal. Log it in the book and move on. I make the rookie mistake of ignoring it, as if my prophecy, spectral Karen, has now awakened from her tricare-induced slumber and screeches into her baby's monitor. Who is this? Who hacked my baby monitor? My baby can't sleep with you fracking soldiers doing this at all hours of the night. I have to get up early tomorrow, and my baby is going to be cranky. Introduce my captain. Passed up for promotion, exiled to night shift, and fresh out of cares in this world. Ma'am, assuming you can hear us, this is an exercise on base. Please either change your channel or turn off your monitor. Who are you? Where are you? I'm going to report this to the military police. My husband is junior officer, blah, blah, blah. Roger, ma'am. Well, get right on that. In the meantime, all the commotion and radio screeching has awoken the true Kraken. That's right, folks, the true Kraken. The Sergeant Major. One rule universally known by all soldiers, of all ranks, private to captain alike. Don't frack with Sergeant Major. Don't frack with Sergeant Major's 2 hours of sleep unless someone is dying. If Sergeant Major is awoken and there isn't fresh coffee on, expect to die. Taking a second to assess the situation, and probably to be petty, he wakes everyone up. 3 a.m. is a perfectly reasonable time to start live fire ranges, high explosives, loud noises, and they carry for miles and miles, rattling windows and occasionally waking up precious babies. As any of you who have ever lived close to a base can attest, them things be loud. We spent until well after sunrise sending as much ordnance as we could at imaginary targets in some desolate and putrid field in southern Louisiana, because Karen thought she had power here when she really didn't. Oh, Karen. Someone hacked into your baby monitor? Because that's a thing. I can only imagine how embarrassed her husband would be if this ever got back to him. And you know it will with all the name dropping she's doing. He'd never hear the end of it. Let's check out the comments where we'll find some small extra details from OP. WFS asked, could this be the wonderful and charming Fort Polk? OP replied, it was indeed. Mr. Bleeding Obvious said, I thought nothing could be angrier than a tired baby mother unjustly woken in the early hours. I stand corrected. Sean BZA added, Going to bed, Sergeant Major also went the next morning to have a chat with said junior butterbar, along with the base commander, about his breaking of OPSEC and his spousal unit needing to be trained better on what being a dependa is, and the things that you definitely do not do. I had to look up dependa and thought I would share with you my findings. It's short for dependopotamus, as described by Thought Catalog. The dependopotamus, as scientists refer to them, are living potato sacks who will congregate at the local malls, dive bars, Walmarts, and under 21 nightclubs in hopes of finding a military man that they can sink their claws into. Also, the type to drop the "my husband is a blah blah" rank, with little to no thought as to who they are talking to. Our second story is a longer one that has had an update, but recently had another one that's more final, so I think it's ready to be read. It's called "The Man Baby is Finally Facing the Music." My brother is 31 years old. In his time on Earth, he has not had to lift a finger to keep any of his needs met. He dropped out of college after less than half a semester because he could not bother rolling out of bed before noon to take the car our parents got him to class. He's worked a combination of 2.5 months in his entire life. He lost his first job at a Dairy Queen because he swore at a mother over the drive-through speakers, and lost his second because he got caught stealing from the till of a family-owned restaurant. He has spent the last 8 years rolling out of bed at 2 p.m. to do nothing but play video games and troll Discord servers to find someone just as pathetic as him to hang out with. It does not help that he's an annoying, violent, self-centered brat who would push my parents in front of a bus for the thrill of the dopamine hit. My parents always tried their best with us. They gave us everything we ever needed in life, and then some. They have always been more than understanding to all of their children. For me and my 2 siblings who are worth something, it led to incredible performances in academia, well-paying jobs, and an amazing start to our adult lives. I wish I could commend them for the 75% success rate, but they have allowed the man baby to sit in his cradle and make demands for 31 years too long. And now they find themselves with an overgrown toddler who sits in the attic playing Valorant all day while cursing my mom out when she dares to ask him to clean up the rotting garbage he spreads across his room. Last year, Dad had a stroke. He is now at a point where he needs 24-hour care from a professional. My mother is burned out. She retired when Dad had the stroke to take care of him, and it's done more damage to their relationship than 33 years of marriage could ever do. It does not help that they are perpetually harassed by the child demanding his dinner be delivered to him, while he screams at teenagers over the internet. Me, all my human siblings, and my parents have been talking for months now about solutions. At the beginning of the month, we decided Dad is going to a care center. Mom will sell the house to move to a 55-plus community close to Dad, and the man baby will hopefully find a box with an internet connection. Mom and Dad have always protected him, but my guess is the stroke finally woke them up to the reality of the situation. Yeah, it sucks, and they are to blame for allowing him to get to this point. But there comes a time to cut your losses and admit you messed up and move on. It's a shame all of the man babies' siblings, including myself, hate his guts. None of us care what happens to him. And it's interesting to say that out loud now that I think about it. I got the privilege to be there yesterday when he got the news. Mom's going to be moving in with Sis till the house sells. Dad's going to the care center next week, and movers will be clearing the place out starting pretty much now. He has a month. The eviction process is already rolling. The non-emergency line already knows that his temperamental and violent behind has been served and is ready to respond if he does something stupid. Oh, and our firefighter neighbor will be over in only a few minutes if he needs his butt put in gear on short notice. It was wonderful. His meltdown was legendary. He actually stomped his feet and screamed that it's not fair. Said he was going to sue us all, screamed in an elderly man's face saying he wants to fight him. He demanded to know what we were going to do to help him find a place to live, how much money we were going to give him to make sure he didn't end up on the streets, asked what he's supposed to do about the fact he was saving his money to buy a new graphics card. He somehow still does not understand exactly what he is now facing. He's now not talking to Mom or Dad. He's locked himself in his room since last night and only comes out to use the restroom and take food from the pantry that will not be filling itself anymore. It's great, as my brother is staying there and working remotely to make sure he does not try anything, and to update me and my sister on the man baby's tantrum. I'm looking forward to the next month. It will be the best reality television I've seen in a while. Quick update. The man baby has not gotten violent, luckily. He has made everyone's life a living nightmare, however. He says he's found a place to live, though, and says he'll be out by the end of the month. Relevant comments. Redditor suggests telling brother later to keep control of the situation. OP. Putting aside my snide tone and the comedy, we knew this was coming. We need to give him 30 days' notice legally, so dropping him out at the last second was not an option. Mom will be out of the house before the end of the week. Dad soon after that. Everything that can be used as a weapon is already gone, and my brother is taking every precaution necessary. He has pepper spray also, but we doubt he will need to use it. The man baby is a brat and violent, but he has never hurt someone else, and in my own opinion, he's too much of a coward to try to do anything. That does not mean we don't have precautions in place. Neighbors know, the police know, everyone that can do something knows about the situation. We made it very clear to the toddler that if he tries anything, he will regret it. Prison is one thing I don't know about. Maybe he's dumb enough to try it, but I also know he's terrified of anything new, so who knows? Overall, things are being handled to the best of all of our abilities. Redditor is concerned for OOP and family safety. OP. Yeah, this was one of our biggest concerns when Mom and Dad decided they could not handle him anymore. He's a violent man baby, but he takes his anger out on things rather than people. I doubt he has the spine to hurt someone. But you know what they say about backing dogs into corners. We've taken precautions. My brother is in the house till his eviction is finalized. They will be repinning the locks the day he's out, and neighbors know what is going on and are there to help. If he damages anything, he'll be going to jail. And if he tries to hurt someone else or himself, we've let the police know he's a danger. Redditor inquires about OOP's brother's welfare. OP. Without getting too deep into personal territory, my parents have gotten him all the help they can. He's never been given any real diagnosis outside of depression because he would simply skip his therapist appointment and not put in any effort. He has a case of clinical laziness. If he has something else, we don't know. Redditor asks if OOP's brother has any mental issues. OP. Maybe. We don't know for sure. My parents have tried to get him help, but he refuses to put any work into improving himself. He was put into a very expensive therapy program and quit going after only 2 sessions. He was never given an official diagnosis outside of depression because of his refusal to actually go out of his way to attend. Update. The man baby is finally facing the music. Hello again, everyone. I never expected my last post to get popular, but it was a pleasant surprise. Anyways, here's the update. So, after where my original post left off, not much happened at first. The man baby sulked and gave my parents the silent treatment until both of them moved out of the house. He had a bit of a tantrum when he realized that my brother would not be buying groceries for him and he would, gasp, have to spend his computer fund to feed himself. After Mom moved out, I think that's when it hit him that this was happening, and no amount of sulking and complaining would stop the eviction date from coming any closer. He had a massive tantrum a few nights after Mom moved out. He blew up the family group chat demanding we help him find a place to live and give him money for a deposit. I responded with a gif of a laughing cat, and my sister blocked his number. He and our brother got into a fight, but like I always thought, he was too cowardly to actually do anything. So he sulked to his room. Skipping every little petty and childish thing he did over the month, he in the end did find a place to actually live. He started to do Uber to make some cash while he claims to look for a job. We'll see how that turns out. Anyway, from what I understand, he knows someone locally that he plays video games with, and the guy hooked him up with a cheap place to live. And when I say cheap, I mean cheap. I ended up offering to help the man baby move to his new place and got a first-hand look at the crack house he's now living at. He's living in a room above the garage in a 3-bedroom, rundown crack house straight out of Compton. The place has fiber internet, though, which was the must-have feature for my brother, apparently. I didn't get a single thanks for helping him move, and he demanded I buy him lunch afterward. I left him hungry. Anyways, we'll see how long this lasts, as the man baby still seems to insist on not getting an actual job, and thinks if he begs me and my family for money, he'll get by. He apparently has already depleted his graphics card fund and is blowing my mom up asking for $1,000. So it seems to be going well for him. He did ask me for money when I was helping him move, and I told him that McDonald's is always hiring. He scoffed and told me he was too good for that. I guess we'll see how long that lasts. Anyways, the man baby has left the building. I have a really hard time comprehending how people get to a place where they expect everyone else to work hard and look after them. It's nuts. The lack of general awareness, never mind self awareness, is mind boggling. Let's check out the comments where we'll find very little sympathy for OP's brother. Otter Gang said, "Man, 21? Okay, I get it. 31? Yeah, sympathy has long dried up. $5 says that when the parents are gone, whatever inheritance will be gone within a week." Working on it 12 added, "What inheritance? Unless the parents divorce, the overwhelming majority of the parents' funds are going to the care home." Someone else added, "Doesn't take long to burn through the life savings and deplete all the assets at $10K per month for an S&F room." Working on it 12, "It was $10K a month in 2017. I shudder to think about what it is now." Venus of the Sky said, "I expect an update where he's homeless in a couple of weeks if people stop coddling him." Someone else said, "It sounds to me like the only thing he loves is gaming and his computer. That itself might be motivation enough to not end up on the streets. But then he doesn't seem to be good at planning for the future, so we'll see, I guess." New Bromance said, "Most streamers as well also have to keep their gaming zone clean and presentable. No one wants to tune in and see a man living in his own dirty filth in a dingy crack house. Even the streamers just starting out who can't afford to decorate their gaming room need to keep it clean, tidy, and presentable. It's effectively their place to work." In response to "see a man living in his own dirty filth," someone else said, "Asmongold has entered the chat." If you've enjoyed the story and would like to hear more, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Thanks, and bye for now.